Okay. Hello, internet humans. It's so fun to be back here. I'm Heather McDougall, of course, moderator and speaker for the JREC Virtual Women's Business Conference, which is happening next week, March 6th through the 9th. 2023. And I'm so excited because I'm here with Stephanie and we're going to talk about her really amazing session and everything that she's bringing to the conference. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
So let's just jump off. Where are you from and what is it that you like to say you do?
Oh my gosh, the from question's sort of hard. I currently live in Wilmington, Delaware, but I am from the Los Angeles suburbs and got to Delaware via Oregon, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. And gonna be, well, what do I do? I tell people that I help nonprofits be better at their fundraising and their governance. I sort of joke that I don't do coaching, but I do more technical assistance. So training and facilitation, sometimes the actual work too.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so fascinated. So many places that you are quote unquote from. I mean, I don't know exactly your journey, but I also lived in a lot of different places. And so it's like, where are you from? I'm like, well, now I identify with so many, like I was born in North Dakota, but there's so many places now that I identify as a like once home. So, and interesting, Oregon, that's actually where I got licensed to practice law. I went to law school, but ended up not practicing law, became an entrepreneur instead. But Oregon was like on the list of life at one point in time. So, and nonprofits, I'm really, really curious about, well, so much that you do. I mean, in the fundraising and the governance, I know I work with a nonprofit on the board, and these are such powerful topics to help support the impact that nonprofits or any organization can have, right? Structure, and how do we create these paths for finances to flow? What are you going to be speaking on at the conference?
Oh yes, I'm going to be talking about grant writing, sort of a soup to nuts approach, from figuring out what you need funded to figuring out who is in your universe of funders, to actually preparing the application and what to do after you hear back either way.
So it's like a process, an actual like step by step. People will leave with something that is like a tangible result for them.
Yes, if they're paying attention.
All right, everybody pay attention. What is kind of the ideal, I'll say woman, because this is a women's conference, but who do you really want to come to your session?
I think anyone that's involved with a nonprofit could benefit, especially if someone's on the board of an organization that's maybe a startup or a grassroots organization. So it's sort of all hands on deck, to staff members at nonprofits. And what I talk about might also be applicable to someone seeking small business grants. Can't necessarily speak to that because it's 100% not nonprofit for me, but I think a lot of the takeaways would be the same because grant writing is such a detail-oriented process.
Oh, no, I'm really glad you even mentioned that, because it's true of even in my business. We applied for a lot of different grants. Some are government grants, some are private grants. And so I think that is something that oftentimes grants are associated specifically with nonprofit funding, but there's a lot of opportunity. So I think that's so smart, whether you're nonprofit or for profit, learning how to write a grant is so important. It sounds like there's a lot of relationship kind of management pieces in there as well. Is that right?
There is, because as much as it pains me personally that a lot of times it's about relationships and the sort of overall impression that a funder might have about an organization. So they'll be willing to maybe overlook some typos or the not best thought out programs. Is if you're the one that doesn't know the funder and you're approaching just based on your merits, it can be more challenging, which really gets to my sense of fairness.
How did you find yourself in this line of work?
Well, my first job out of graduate school was with a chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And not only did I manage the programs, but I had to find the funding for them. And that's when I realized it's kind of more fun to actually find the funding than to deliver the same talk over and over and over again.
So then you became an expert, basically.
Oh gosh, I hate using that term. Experienced professional will go with.
Experienced professional. Ooh, I like that. Not to pry too much, but what is it about the word expert?
I don't know. I guess I think of experts as the folks that are writing textbooks and are really good at, I guess they're better at self-promotion, because I really struggle with that. Because I'll look and I'll be like, wow, we have the exact same career trajectory and credentials, and how do they make it sound so much fancier?
I think that's so funny. It makes me just kind of chuckle, because it's like, what's an expert? Well, I don't know, somebody who says they're an expert. I mean, it's not, obviously, it's people who like have a lot of experience, like you say, but just kind of, it's like, I love that, the marketing aspect. But obviously you do have a lot of experience, and I'm so excited that you are going to be at this virtual women's conference to provide this for all of the guests. I think if there are any questions, like what kind of questions would you love for any attendees to be thinking of and maybe bring to the session?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of times when I've talked about grants before, I've incorporated the answers to the questions that people have asked. A big question always is, well, which research tool do you recommend? Because I cover a few of them because I'm not sponsored by anyone. I think, questions about, how to do things in a more economical way. So I did look at, what are some options in Jamestown for doing research, and a little bit of a hike to the free option.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about some of that. What day is your session? What time is your session?
Oh, I'm on Eastern Standard Time. So, but it is going to be on Monday, the 6th.
Monday the 6th. I in the prior interview too, I forgot to double check, major flaw on my part, but you're 1 hour ahead of us. We'll make sure to put it in the description of the video when we post it. So by the time you get to this part in the interview, all of you listeners, you'll be like, yeah, we already know, but it's on Monday, and the link to register will be right next to this video as well. And it'll go right to Stephanie's session. Let's see. Okay. I am going to ask you a random question, and it is going to be a fruit question because it's the same question I asked the other folks. So I think it might be kind of fun. The question was, first question is, what do you love about what you do?
I love the variety in what I do. I tended, when I worked for one organization, to get a little bored. It was like, oh, it's the time of year where this happens again. Oh, it's the time of year where this happens again. So I love the variety and being able to help more than just one organization and the people they serve. And I think part of it also is hearing back from clients later who love to reach out and say things like, oh my gosh, we did such and such based on your recommendation, and here's what happened. And that is just great to know that people were actually listening and willing to try new approaches.
Okay, this is good, because then the random question is, if like the way that you feel about your job and like how you approach the work and the impact you create, if that feeling was a fruit, what fruit might it be?
Well, I'm going to say this about fruit. I don't like seeds. So I'm probably going to have to go with maybe a banana because it's seedless. But I'm a weirdo with my bananas because I like them very ripe, like almost banana nut bread.
Oh, right. Wow.
So that's a little unique. Everyone else is like, no, as soon as they're not green, I'm going to eat them. And my husband wants nothing to do with bananas, so they're a special treat for me when I'm not at home.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is so cool because one of the things I do is I help facilitate an early stage entrepreneurial training program. And for some reason, last night my example for the company that I was going to start was a banana sandwich shop. And now here we are is talking about bananas. So I feel like there's something that, the world is talking, hey, everybody, we should eat more bananas. And they're so good for us.
And you have seeds in your teeth and, yeah, no seeds.
Yeah, well, I love it. Banana, it's smooth, it's hassle-free. And I think even to draw like maybe it's silly, but a connection to the work that you do is, I mean, you're doing a lot of the work that I don't want to say other people don't want to do, but you're helping people appreciate like these really valuable, necessary skills. And like for me with the banana, yeah, there's like a day that I'll eat it, but there's so much importance in that, the second half of a banana's life. So I'm going to draw that little silly connection. Well, gosh, this is so great. I think what a fun, just like really quick little sample of what's to come in your session. Gosh, it's already coming up next Monday. Is there anything else that you want to say to the audience, to anyone who sees this?
Well, I think it's great that people are taking the time to invest in their personal and professional development, and hopefully anyone that is employed by someone else, they have their boss's permission and support, which is super important, because if you're not constantly learning, you're not growing. So it's great that folks are going to be able to take the time out of their schedules to learn all kinds of new topics.
Oh my gosh, that made me think of one other question, which is, do you have any advice for people who are maybe still like persuading their employers or want to have some sort of like, hey, this is important for me to do? Is there anything that you advise people to talk to their employers about?
Well, I always say that professional development is so much cheaper than giving someone a raise. So I don't understand why more employers don't think that way. And when I had staff, I always made sure to share our tiny little slice of the professional development budget we got. But I think it's just a way to, let people explore new topics and take a break from the daily grind, make connections. And so much of what's being covered is going to help people be better leaders. And I hate to say workers, like, we're working in a salt mine or something, but be better at what they're doing. And also, because I met lots of people over the years, like, oh, my boss makes me take PTO time to come to educational sessions. I'm thinking, you need a new job.
Yeah. Oh, so
100% work related ones. You're thinking, really? But you're going to this educational session to learn to be better at your job, and you have to take the PTO time.
Yes. And we all feel good when someone else says, hey, you deserve to learn, you deserve to grow, right? There's that sense. And so it's, even if it's like purely just the morale of having your employer or your team be like, hey, you're worth this time, like that on the very, very minimum, to me seems worth it. Not to mention all the really valuable skills that they're going to learn from coming to the session. So Stephanie, thank you for hanging out with me for a few minutes. Everyone who's watching, please go to Stephanie's session. I just have a really strong hunch that no matter if you're nonprofit or for-profit or whatever you're doing, there is going to be something really valuable to learn. We all need to ask for money sometimes. We all need to know how to pitch ourselves and understand what our story is. So anyway, thank you so much, Stephanie.
Well, thank you.